Board of Education meeting in regular session on Tuesday, September the 19th at 7 p.m. and we're at the county office in Hamlin. At this time, I'm going to ask Dr. Butchie Burns to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I'd be honored to. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Dr. Burns. Amy, do we have anyone signed in for public comment? We do not. Okay, we'll move right on with the meeting. We have presentations and reports. The curriculum team will be here to talk about the new English language and math pacing guide. So who's going to start off?
We brought copies in case you wanted to look at them, but you can also find them online if you scan the QR code. So
These are the ELA. This is elementary and that's.
you have it. So we just wanted to let you know kind of the progress that's been made on these. This was something that was started before I switched roles and it's completed. It's on the website. And wanted to share kind of how it happened, the process, and where you can find it. And then if you have any questions. So when the curriculum team kind of discussed why we maybe need to go back to looking at some pacing guides, these are some discussion points that they noted. It allows for collaboration. It makes accessing resources, especially if you're a new teacher, simpler. Today, we actually met with new teachers from 4 to 5, and that was probably, I think, the highlight of our training was they were excited that they had kind of a way to manage their time and their lessons. And as a new teacher, you know, that's something I liked. So they were excited about that. It helps teachers reach benchmarks because whenever we do the diagnostic, and if they choose to use Cambium at their schools, the state interims and things, it gives teachers a chance to kind of gauge where they should be when they assess their students and their learning, and ensures that students remain engaged. We're not taking too long or moving too fast. We're kind of at the right speed. And then one good point that the team kind of had pointed out was that it keeps consistency throughout our county. We have a lot of transient students, believe it or not, from school to school in our county and then from county to county in our state. So if a student moves from, for example, Hamlin to Guyan Valley or vice versa, the hope is that they're in a similar place so that the student's not too far behind.
So we're going to talk just a little bit about the process that we have whenever we undertook this task. First of all, we have an ELA and a math leadership team, and we started with them, and then we added to anyone else who wanted to join. So we wanted to make sure that we had enough people to span K through 8, and that we had teachers from ELA and math and from all schools. We wanted to make sure that we had all of that. So those teachers came together. We started on a Saturday. We did math first. We gave them a template, which is what you see. It was a rough template at that point, and they brought all their curriculum with them. We gave them a little bit of guidance of what we're looking for. We need you to go through your curriculum. We want you to pace out your units, how you will see them. We would like to have I can statements. We would like to have keywords, topics, and the standards that you're going to be teaching, how long each unit will be. So they worked on that. They did math, they did ELA. We worked on that several Saturdays. At the end of that first year, we finished. They turned in drafts to us, to Lisa and me. And then after that, we got together last year. We started finalizing those drafts. They worked some more on that. And then we had a finalization committee who came in, and we sat down and we looked at the drafts that have been sent to us. And we basically agreed upon the actual format of how things should be laid out. So everything was consistent across math and ELA. So there wouldn't be any question on what was there. And then we had our finalization team. We have members of our finalization team here who worked on, again, Saturdays and on weeks and time on their own to create that final product that you see. That was turned into Lisa and me. We then uploaded those to the website for review. We asked if anyone wanted to look at them, make suggestions. Once that day the review was finished, we looked at the suggestions that were given. Lisa and I went back in, made any revisions that needed to be made, and then we uploaded those to the website. And that's what you see. We just printed them for you, so you'd have a copy that you could look
Are
at them.
parents able to get on and look
Yes.
at this also? And
Anyone
all the
can.
schools let them know the website to get on and the grade levels and everything's pretty easy for them to access.
It is, yeah, it's easy to access, and the QR codes is actually something that the principals could share too.
Okay.
We just created this for you guys, but that's a resource that we can give to the principals as well.
Good.
They were sent the link to share with parents, but it might be easier for some of our parents, especially if they're more techy. to use
Yes.
QR code.
Yes.
And I just want to shout out and thank you to members
Their
of
hard
our
work.
curriculum, of our pacing guide team, finalization team.
Want to introduce your team to
Sure,
us?
I will. Christy Atkins, Hayden McGrady, and Stephanie.
No,
Worthington.
You got your head turned and I can't hear a word you're saying.
I'm sorry. Stephanie Workman, Amy McGrady, and Christy Atkins.
Very good ones.
Wonderful. And it was a long process and they stuck with the process. And I think what we have are some excellent pacing guides for our teachers in our county to use.
And I think an important point too is every school was represented in some way.
We had been talking about having an overall consistent approach, like the same math program from the time they enter school till they exit school. If you guys could consider that approach along with the pacing, because we had talked earlier that some kids had 3 or 4 different math programs by the time they entered school until they graduated.
Right.
You know, they had the new math, they had, you know,
Right.
all of this. So
The-
that may be something that we could talk about.
Well, now is a good time too, because we're up for math textbook
Textbook
adoption
adoption
is
committees.
this year, and also the standards will be changing this year.
Right.
So it's a good
It
time to
is.
kind of.
The only thing is, that the teachers on that textbook committee really make the recommendation of the series to use. And sometimes one series fits us maybe better than the series that the reading, who publishes it. So basically, it would be really hard to do with a committee that would choose that and talk about what series, and we get them from all kinds of publishers to look through and all the, the extra bebop.
Well, if we have a pacing guide, I think we need to have a substance,
I do, I think.
the same substance,
Yeah.
consistent teaching.
Well,
If
this-
I'm teaching a kindergarten phonics, then I need to continue that, phonics throughout their education and not go to something else, in 2nd or 3rd grade.
Yeah,
Right.
it really.
We need a consistent flow.
Yes, we do, but I will tell you, when they sit down with all of those, as you all can all know, you've been on committees. There are some that even with the textbook adoption that we have, that if it's reading or math or whatever, the next company might have the best in math and another publishing company might have the best in.
That's when maybe
pacing guide.
maybe we stay with what we have and order extras so that we can consistently move that kid through the
I don't know that we could
the same
have
program.
updated that long, you know what I mean?
Well, honestly, I think that
This is.
this will help them make that
Yes,
decision on as to
exactly.
which textbook to
Yes,
take.
these
Because
are because.
whatever this
these are the
fits is what they'll-
Standards for the state.
Right.
I do have a question. At the end of the year, is there an opportunity for you guys to get together, reevaluate what's going on and make some changes?
So that's our next steps on our handout, and it's, the first step is to complete high school. So that will be the focus, is the high school pacing guide for math and ELA. We also want to include science, but we'll have to revisit math because math is changing.
Same format of the pacing guide.
It'll be the same format, but their standards are changing, so it will have to be revisited for math, K through,
There's probably pacing guide over there. Campus.
for the high school.
Yes.
Okay.
We're also going to get together, ELA will get together also. Because one of the things, this was like a trial run for us. They worked hard, they completed them. We're going to put them out and see how well they do. We're going to come back together. Make sure that the weeks work, the ICANN statements work, the units flow like they're supposed to, and make any corrections that need to be made. And then we'll upload those And then our goal is next year is to have printed copies as well for everyone. So right now they're just online and teachers can print them as they need them.
Are you all looking at perhaps keeping individual folders in math and language arts? That's the way we used to do when we had the old hold. You know, they were tested at different levels and those tests went in there and
But they have already now, remember?
yeah, but whatever company we get, would they have the, you know, the ability to have a testing program that would be at certain levels to see if it wouldn't be a state test, it would just be an individual class. Remember, Christy, when we used to do that, we used to do it with Holt, you might have been there, but we used to have folders for every student and tests at the end of so many units, and it was standardized across the county with whatever textbook we adopted. And we didn't always adopt the same things for math or reading, so it was a different series and different, you know, things. And it was hard to do, but it really kind of, you know, was easy for teachers and easy for kids if they transferred to know where they were.
One thing the state has done is they've totally revamped our testing site and the new Cambium portal. And so what they've done is they've made those type of tests, but it's more standards related. Because if you're teaching using those pacing guides, it should correlate, and the teachers now have lots of resources. They can do a pre and post assessment with those Cambium resources.
So we really have it, just not
Yes.
the textbook level.
Right.
We have it at the.
At the standards
Yes,
level,
the
yeah.
standards level,
Yeah.
which is better.
Yes, it gives them really good
Yeah.
data. There's a new test authoring.
Yeah, because if you change after 5 years, you start a whole new ballgame.
Right.
You know, but if you have the standards and you're using them all across, that's,
Yeah.
that's the thing to do. Are we doing individual folders for each kid? With
It's
the-
more of like an online folder, if that makes
Yeah,
sense.
but I mean, it would be able to be printed off and shared with parents.
Yes, and that's actually in the Third Grade Success Act, K-3. If a student is a certain grade band proficient cut score, we're actually meeting Thursday. I'm meeting with principals, but we have to send a letter notifying parents. It's in code. And then those test scores, the family friendly iReady report will be attached, and it'll have interventions
Yeah.
for the parents to
Good.
try.
And
And that's required
Oh,
now.
that's
in
great.
policy.
And if they come to parent nights, you know, and that kind of thing with the
Mhm.
teachers, you know, they can talk the same language.
Well, we're
Uh,
taking
do-
parent night to them, actually. We talked about that today. I talked about the video series that we're
Yeah.
doing.
Yes,
We're gonna use our curriculum team and actually go through the video series of where this is what a test score report looks like. This is how to read it. This
Yes.
is what this means. And because parents are not gonna read a big, long lengthy
No,
document,
they're
but they'll
not.
watch a 3-minute video.
right. And if they have a ballpark idea, then when they come to talk to us and you and teachers and principals, they will know a common language and you can let them see where we are. where
And
they
that goes back to what you all were talking about in our work session where we were talking about being able to say, okay, you have a B, but what does that B mean? Which level?
Yes.
This is what this will address.
Yes, and and that is a common misunderstanding with parents, grade levels and, you know, in academics, they think the B's okay. But if you're in the 5th grade on 2nd or 3rd grade reading, making a B, it's hard to understand when you're not promoted that year.
Right.
And I worry about that because, parents are so important to the perception of how their children are doing in the classrooms they're in. Thank
Ladies,
you.
I can talk curriculum all night, but I won't, because the board will get upset with me, but, just a couple of thoughts here. This is the math adoption year.
Here.
And during our work session, believe it or not, we talk about curriculum and we were talking about not only curriculum, but how to save money.
Mhm.
And, because if we can save money somewhere, we can put it somewhere else. I don't remember, Mr. Davis told me, but I don't remember the number of how much money a math adoption would cost.
$750,000.
$750,000.
Yeah, Lee.
And
Oh.
we talk in terms of keeping the math edition that we've got, and I realize we've got to select off the state textbook list. But if we're satisfied That's the key. If we're satisfied that their math edition does what we want it to do, why are we changing? Math is the most absolute of all the courses that we teach. I'm sure I can go back and get my 5th grade math book from a long time ago. And it
70 years
probably
ago.
would still have the same kinds of math. It would still have the reading problems that no teacher ever taught because they didn't know how to teach the reading problems. We always passed them. Teacher, do we have to do reading problems? Well, no, not today. We never did them, but that's what math does, is to apply a mathematical formula to a real life problem, to solve things. That's the purpose of math, is to solve. Sometimes in education, a lot of times, we get hung up on the process instead of looking at the goal. The goal is to get people to solve problems. And I don't remember all of our conversation we had the other day, but there's a way, again, if you all are satisfied with their math books that was adopted 6, 8 years ago. Is it ever 6 years?
Yeah, for
Most of the time.
some things
For
they.
math and
they do
English, it's
5.
6 years and 8 years for everything else.
Well, some five.
Well, no, some are 5, it's either 5 or 6.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if you all are satisfied with that, all we would have to do is to buy a few more books, those that's torn up and lost, save a lot of money. We could get, if it's not on the new adoption, get a waiver from the state to keep the math that we've got. At least we could ask for that. We can save a lot of money and
With that.
continue on with the process that teachers would not have to
Learn a
new
whole
thing. They've got that system down. So at least if you all and Mr. Barnett think about that and talk about it. But getting back to the pacing guides, that's where we're headed for. The thing about pacing guides is you absolutely have to have pacing guides to make sure the material is taught. Now, I was social studies. That's what I taught. And the last half of the book was hardly ever taught by teachers because you only got about halfway or 2/3 through it. So nobody knew any 20th century history. I mean, history stopped at about 1900. You just ran out of time. And that's where the pacing guide comes in. Now, the problem with the pacing guide for me is that it keeps teachers on a schedule and we wind up teaching the subject and not teaching the child at the level that they're on. That is the danger of a pacing guide. I think that's where the iReady comes in. If, and again, I briefly talked to Mr. Barnett about this. If we believe that the iReady gives us good results, we need to analyze the heck out of those tests. And we need to teach those kids at that level. Now, that may not mean that all the kids you're teaching are second graders. You may have some third graders in your second grade class. You may have some first graders in your second grade class. We teach kids at their skill level, not at their grade level. That to me is when we really get down to diagnosing education and what we're doing. But I agree, a pacing guide has to be there. Teachers hate them usually because it's confining. Some teachers like them, the new teachers like them, the older teachers hate them. Because it keeps people on target. But you have to keep people on target. But we got to always remember that the purpose of what we're doing is to teach that child and not that subject.
Yes.
So,
I think the good news is, K-3 has intervention, Ashlock, which is the science of reading. That's the initiative with the Third Grade Success Act. So every school now, thanks to Sarah and Dion and several, they have those interventions going to teach those kids at their level. Some principals have seen the need and are doing a double dose. So they're using the intervention to meet them on their skill level in the classroom during their ELA time in elementary. And then they're bringing them back in for a second dose of intervention. And it might be like you talked about, kindergartner with a second grade. Several middle school principals have seen kind of the need that middle school students aren't where we want either. And they have like iReady in their schedule and things like that. But that's one of our focuses. We're hoping that by next year, I've talked to every principal about doing like more of like a walk to intervention where during a certain time frame, maybe 8 to 8:30, because that's what research says is the best time, is we have a walk to intervention across the board and every kid goes where their skill level is and receives
Now, John
intervention.
Hopkins they had a program and we used it at Ranger and Dion can tell you all about it. And everybody went to the level in reading of where they were during reading. And no bells were rung. We just made an announcement. You go to Miss Jones's room or what, and you had your reading language arts. And then after about 2.5 hours, they went back to their regular grade level. And that year they had to come down from the state because our reading scores were so high.
Mhm.
And
Or-
Dion can tell you
Mhm.
the whole deal. She was there and one of our teachers. And it was just an amazing thing to see the kids be, in a classroom where they were able to be on the instructional level. And then, they went back and it worked out real well.
anybody else have anything? All right, good discussion.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good job.
And thank you other ladies for coming. Good to see you.
It's a baseball field. I don't mean to be rude.
We just saw you.
Here you go.
Yeah, there's a game tonight.
There's about 3 in the short.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I will tell you that we've begun our, district walkthrough process of the different schools. And I met with the walkthrough team today. And one of the things I want to make sure is that the principals out there and the teachers in the schools know that we're not working in silos. It's not now what, so what, it's now what, so what, then what. So now we've gone through and we've done a couple of walkthroughs. We want to make it, we've had feedback with the principals on what we saw on that day. And now the next step is to what can we do as a team here at the central office to support the
That's-
needs that
yeah.
you have, any of the kind of interventions that we need to make as a central office staff. What do we need to do to get out and support what you're doing and address your needs? So that they don't feel like it's we come in, told them what to fix, see ya. We're
Yeah.
going to, we want to find out from them what we need to do to address their needs to make sure that they get the interventions that are needed for the students.
Yes, it is good.
Got things going on.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, with that, we'll move to item Roman numeral 4. Approve the minutes of the August 29 and September 5
I'll
meeting.
make that motion.
Burns makes the motion.
Second.
Wilson seconds. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? None. Brings us down to the administrative section. We got several items on there. Is there any discussion from anyone about these items? I just have a question, not that I'm concerned about, just for my own information. The health science education teacher, is that Joanne Elkins' job?
Yes.
Yes.
So we're just revising that job description.
Yeah, the job description hadn't been updated since Ms. Elkins took that position and several things have changed as far as requirements.
I don't know, she's
Since that-
gonna retire on us this year, fellas, and I don't know how we're gonna. Yes, I worry about that one.
And I'm looking for, we had, a program to give some care to foster kids. This is only for foster kids.
Yeah, Mr.
Okay. Okay,
I have a question about that MOU we signed with Southern.
Mhm.
We not have that issue last year with.
yeah, we did.
Exactly.
So,
Yeah.
And they dropped it on us like
Yeah.
the night before again.
so what can we do, I guess, as a board? To make sure that doesn't happen. I don't care to do that. Obviously, it's good for kids, but
It
I'd
is.
say they know we have ESSER funds.
That's why it's out here ahead of time instead of it,
Yeah.
because if I understand correctly, and I wasn't here, last year they said there would be no charge, and then the 11th hour, they said no, it's gonna be.
Yes.
So now we know ahead of time.
Yeah.
There's no question about it.
So if these students are very much in danger of getting in the habit of thinking the board's gonna be paying their
Every
tuition.
year.
And then when the ESSER funds,
Run out.
runs out, we stop that, and that's gonna be a shock.
These would have to be mostly our 31 students from Lincoln County High School.
Yeah, they are.
And I would hope that somebody along the line would explain to them, that this is a year-to-year thing.
If it's not us, it's gonna have to be someone.
Well, you'll have to,
System.
we need to talk to the people at
Yeah,
the school to be sure that they understand that and they let the kids know.
Well, that's a conversation we actually have to have with Southern.
Yes.
I got an email earlier this week from Marshall. And, in the past with Marshall, we charged the students $75 a credit hour. And the students paid that to the school, which was a hard time getting it. And then, Marshall contracted a third-party entity that would give us back $25. Well, we're kind of skipping all those steps. So Marshall has agreed, they're paying the whole bill. They're footing the bill the first semester and not charging the students anything.
Yeah,
So, and the lady I spoke to, she said that her goal is to have that permanently, that there would be no charge for dual credit students across.
well, it worries me because, it's ESSR funds are gonna be out. And then we're gonna be the bad guys because we can't do it anymore. So I wish that the students themselves and that Southern would let them know that,
Well,
that,
they do an orientation with the kids.
and did they?
Like, for instance, my daughter's in the ECA. I went to the orientation and they told us we were gonna have to pay so much. I forget how much it was, maybe $300 or $400 a semester, which I thought was, that's a good
Compared to
deal.
what it is,
At this
yes.
day and time, and, of course, then, we have these ESSER funds and,
When will they? Do we know when they will run out this year?
well, I've seen.
September 24th of 24.
Yeah, so this time next year, we don't have that.
Correct.
And if I were a parent, I would want to know that, okay? That the Board of Education in Lincoln County would not be able to pay after this year.
So
And-
probably this junior class, they may have to pay their senior year.
Yes, and they may not
Well,
know that and
maybe
be
the second-
aware.
at least the second semester, because, we have until, I think it's, we have to be
June
covered by
Encumbered by September
September
24th.
30th and spent by
Yeah.
November. maybe.
Well, we need to, not only us know that, but we need to have, the understanding of the students and their parents. Cause I would hate for our parents to think we just stopped, that this is not really our money, it's ESSR money that we've given to
so we've
help.
got 31 kids
31 kids, I
taking
guess.
college courses through Southern.
Yeah, I guess so.
That comes out probably to about 15% of a class.
Mhm.
We have another, probably, I want to say the same amount or probably a few more taking dual credit through Marshall.
Yes,
Now, they won't, there's not a degree there, but they will, when they start Marshall, they will already have their
Already.
English 101,
Yes.
English 102. They'll have those.
Is it,
Yeah.
yeah.
doesn't Southern articulate with Marshall on the credit that they issue?
They do.
That-
The credits from Southern will pretty much travel anywhere in the state of West Virginia,
Yes, they do,
Okay,
except.
except Aldous and Broadus, yes.
all right.
That's not a problem now.
Yeah.
Austin, I don't think that's a problem now.
Uh,
And,
Any other discussion?
Yeah, letter F and Q.
Okay.
I need to abstain or recuse myself. From voting.
Okay, I wonder why. Okay, we,
His
we
girlfriend.
had a motion to separate the Q from the administrative item.
And
All in favor, say
and
aye.
that as well.
Do we have a second?
F as well.
F and Q.
Q and F.
Yes.
We're not gonna separate him. He's just gonna recuse himself from those.
Yeah,
items.
yeah, he just not gonna vote on this.
Oh, okay.
We're not gonna separate him.
Actually, will, I believe he does.
It's his
Okay.
girlfriend.
I had a motion to separate item Q and F from the rest of the administrative agenda.
We don't
Do I
need
have
to
a second?
separate him. He's just
He
gonna
just not
recuse
gonna
himself
say.
from those two items.
Well,
We had voted them all together, though, don't
Well, we can't.
Uh,
do that.
we
Okay.
have to vote on them separately for him to be able to.
Okay, yeah, we'll make a motion to do that.
Okay. The story makes a motion, second.
Second.
Snyder, all in favor to separate item F and Q, say aye.
Aye.
Okay. And, we will call for a vote to approve
Motion to
all
approve
the administrative items
All the
except
administrative
Q and F.
the two.
Yes, and I
The
second,
story makes that
and
motion.
I'll second.
Burns second, all in favor of that, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? None. All right, brings us back to item Q and F.
Motion to pass item Q and F.
The story makes a motion to approve,
I'll second it.
Burns seconds. Mr.
Wilson.
Wilson will not.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed or recusing?
Recuse.
Mr. Wilson recuses himself. All right, with that, those items pass. Brings us to the finance section. Any discussion? If not, I'll entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
Wilson,
Historic.
the story.
Yes,
Story
I second.
seconds.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay,
that's good.
you guys are both shaking your head. I don't know who said what.
It's all right.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? None. Brings us to the personnel section, which is the blue sheet that we have, items on there. Any discussion? If not, I'd like to have a motion to
So moved.
approve.
So moved.
Wilson or Pastor? Snyder? You guys got to speak up. I can't hear.
I second.
Wilson, there you go.
There we got him.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? None, that passes. Brings us to comments and concerns section.
All right, I would like to entertain superintendent's guidance on as COVID is rearing its ugly head again, talk about the mask mandates. I'll first read to you the state recommendations and bulleted. Students and staff who test positive for COVID-19 should stay home for at least 5 days and isolate. Students or teachers, coaches, sponsors are not permitted to participate in extracurricular activities while in isolation or potentially infectious. Day 0 is the first day of symptoms or the day tested if asymptomatic. Students or staff may return to school if they've stayed home and isolated for 5 days, are fever-free for 24 hours without the use of fever-reducing medications, have improving symptoms, and D, it is recommended that a mask be worn on days 6 through 10 upon return. Individuals who are severely ill or immunocompromised should stay home and isolate for the entire 10-day period. Moving forward, that is the superintendent's recommendation for superintendent guidance is, in addition to the aforementioned guidelines, the Lincoln County Board of Education adopts the following superintendent guideline. Absent any state mask mandates, it shall be the guidance of the superintendent of Lincoln County Schools to make the wearing of masks or face coverings optional for students and personnel. The superintendent of schools will monitor changing conditions and advise the board accordingly should a change become necessary due to a mandate. Masks shall be available at schools, Board of Education buildings, and school buses should they be requested. It is the position of the Lincoln County Board of Education that the parent custodial guardian should be the primary decision maker for what is in the best interest of their child as it pertains to healthcare, so long as this decision does not endanger other students or staff. So I would like to make this a superintendent's guideline that we utilize throughout this school year unless a mandate becomes necessary.
Any discussion on that from you all?
No, I think it's
I
a
think
good
it's
job.
good.
I think it's
Pretty
well
good.
taken and well read, yes.
I would ask Mr. Barnett that you have your technology people put this on our
Website,
county.
Yeah.
Whatever that is, county Facebook site, whatever you call that, so we can get this information out to, all the public.
Okay.
Let them know.
and if they do send something home from each school, you know, like a note home, they can also include this.
Sure.
in School.
Sure.
I've had 2 or 3 people asking about the
Yeah.
COVID policy,
Yes.
so I appreciate you bringing that up. Thank you.
Duval update, which is always on there. They were up there at the site today drilling other core samples. Because of the way the building was moved, shifted, there's the superstructure of the building, if you will, is on a different setting. So they're doing additional drill setting, core samples for that. I did get I sent for an update to Greg Martin Monday, asking him for an update. He actually contacted Austin. They want to have everything wrapped up, bid out, everything by November. So Austin, do you want to speak to what you and Greg spoke about on the phone?
Yeah, I can quickly. He was just wanting to talk to me about dates and requirements, like a timeline to get the legal ads posted for the demolition work and such. So if he gets me something by Thursday, I can get it to the paper and run it for 2 weeks, and then
They can do
they
it.
can have a bid opening at the site, or a pre-bid opening date at the site. And then, they can award the bid quickly after that. So within a month, they should be able to award the bid. So middle of October, if he gets me the stuff and we get it ran and posted.
A few weeks ago, Mr. Martin had said he would have something for us by the end of September. Now we're looking November.
November, yeah.
This is the same kind of dragging on that went on last year. It was going to be December,
Yeah,
and then it dragged on to February or March.
and we get money for it.
I know there's nothing we can do about that, but I'm fast losing patience with this process.
We're pushing him every week.
I know you are.
Yeah.
I'm not blaming you all in it, but it
You just.
it just is going on way too long.
Yes, it is.
The bids were rejected in what, May, April?
April, May.
6 months later, we're talking about
Still got-
bidding it.
Yeah,
I'm
Yeah. and the parents and the kids are just, they're just saying, well, why isn't the board doing something? That's what they're saying, because they ask me, and I see them and know them.
Yeah.
And it does look, he's just fiddling around, but it looks really like we don't know what we're doing.
I don't know this process. I know we're working with the SBA. But I think there has to be an end to the patience this board has at some point. If we don't have a project ready to bid by a certain time, assuming the SBA would approve it, we can't continue on with the architect firm that's not producing. That's just how I feel about it personally.
Do I?
And they may be working their heads off, but I'm not seeing any results. And,
There's a December meeting at the SBA, and which we'll have to hit to get a final decision on funding. I think Greg Martin knows he can't miss the December date, so they'll have to get everything done and get it bid prior to mid-December. Otherwise, there'll be another quarterly meeting that won't be till spring.
And we won't be till this time next year.
A while late until December.
So-
But we've already talked about taken pieces of that out, so there's no reason that he needs to wait.
Well, I'm talking about the demo should already be
Right,
done. by
that's what
then.
I'm saying. We
But
need
the
to
final-
move forward.
The final, all right, we're building a school.
Right,
Bid.
We have to have bids from contractors
Right.
on the total package.
right.
To see what the final number comes in at so that we can go
So,
back
yeah,
to
we
the
can go-
SBA and say,
But we
okay,
need-
hey,
Here we are.
here's what we can contribute. We still need 7 million or
But we
6 or
need to
5.
have bricks coming down before that.
Yeah.
And he needs to get on with the timeline.
Speaking of that, we kind of had maybe a win-win today. We had a meeting today, with, Youth League Association, and, part of what they're wanting to do is, looking at building up some property, building up some land actually, for a structure, and some fill would be needed for that. Well, we're gonna have plenty of it.
Mhm.
So it may be a win-win
Good.
for both of us to be able to utilize some of that fill to address the need that they're having. So.
Okay. Anybody have any other discussion? Just want to remind the board, we have a work session on Friday at 9:30. We'll continue on with our policies. We got one approved.
Good discussion.
They'll have to push us in wheelchairs. to go.
I told Robin I'm gonna lay all this on her to get us moving along a little faster. We approved one after 2 hours the other day, but we had some really good discussion. And I think that discussion was worthwhile. So I'm pleased, personally, I'm pleased with the direction that the school system is going. Mr. Barnett and his administration seem to be having a handle on everything. I just think things are positive. I'm hopeful that our employee attendance will be better than it was in the past. That's what we got hired for, guys and ladies. We've got to stick to our guns and get this done. Anybody got anything else? If not, I'll ask for a motion and a second to adjourn until Friday, September 22nd at 9:30 a.m. for a work session.
So moved.
Snyder,
Second.
Wilson, how come I hear you guys on this one? Time is 7:42. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? This meeting is adjourned.